everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Robin, and we are going to do my wrap up for February. So what I'm going to do is talk about the books that I finished in February. So this includes some layover from my TBR from January, as well as all of my February TBR. In the month of February, I finished 13 books. 10 of those were from my February TBR, 2 of those were from January, and 1 of them was just extra. And so I'm going to go into a little bit of some stats before I talk about all the books that I've read, and I'm going to try to make it as short as I can, but I had a lot of thoughts in February. Overall, I think it was a pretty good month. There were some downers though, so. So in February, I read a total of 3,366 pages. Now, I also listened to a lot of audiobooks, and so I listened to 15 hours and 8 minutes on audiobook. About a quarter of the books that I read were nonfiction, the rest were all fiction. And because I use Storygraph, I have it broken down into genres as well. And so I apparently read 7 books that are LGBTQIA+, which makes me really happy. So no wonder I liked February so much. The next 3 genres that were most popular in February were romance, young adult, and classics, which actually makes a lot of sense. So those are my stats for the month. If there are any other stats that you want me to include in these wrap-ups, please let me know and I will do my best based off of the different ways that I track books. But I'm going to go in chronological order, or at least chronological order as much as I can remember, and we'll just get started. So the first book that I finished in February was A Gay Synagogue in New York by Moshe Shokeid. And this is an anthropologist who participated in a gay synagogue in New York City for about, I want to say I think he conducted his study over 5 years, but he, made connections and made friends in the temple. And so he, participated a lot longer. I thought it was really fascinating. It talked about, sorry, my cat is rubbing all up on the books. I thought it was really fascinating because, one, the temple started out as non-denominational pretty much. There are 4 popular denominations of Judaism and way more beyond that as well. But this temple started out just as literally a gay synagogue. And so they didn't have any other sort of branch that they adhered to. But it was really interesting how the author, commented on how some people wanted it to be more orthodox and some people liked it more non-traditional, and how they interact and how the politics of temple life works. And because I am somewhat involved in my temple, I thought it was just really interesting to read about. This was written in the early 1990s. I believe it was published in 1994, and so it talked a lot about also how the AIDS epidemic impacted temple life because it is a gay synagogue. And so a lot of the chapters had a note about, if someone that the author had interviewed or someone that the author had talked to or whatever, a lot of them ended up passing away from AIDS. And so that was really heartbreaking because you got to, get to know these people and see how they interacted and see how welcoming they were to the author, and then just knowing that they died, and that was really sad, and I don't know if I'll include that in the video. So I really liked A Gay Synagogue in New York. I gave it 4.5, which for a nonfiction is actually really good because I do not enjoy reading nonfiction. So the second book that I read in a total of about 30 hours because I just couldn't put it down, and that is Stolen Songbird by Danielle Jensen. I don't know what it is. I loved this book. So this is a young adult story about a girl named Celine who is trained to be an opera singer, and she ends up getting kidnapped and taken underneath this mountain where a whole civilization of trolls have been trapped. And there's a prophecy saying that she will help free them. And after she gets over the whole, like, being kidnapped thing, she wants to help them. She also, as part of this prophecy, ends up marrying the prince, who seemingly doesn't like her. So we have a little bit of, like, enemies to lovers sort of thing. But I thought it was really good. I have no words, you know? Like, I thought the magic system was really interesting. I thought that the different trolls that we meet along the way, and how some are disfigured and how some are like classically beautiful, I thought that was really interesting. I thought the politics were interesting, and I immediately ordered the second book in the series, and honestly I'm just waiting until I can pick it up. So, and I ended up giving Stolen Songbird another 4.5. 4.5 is going to show up a lot in this. I have since changed my rating system a little bit so that hopefully we don't get quite as many. I feel like 4.5 should be a little hard, and I have a lot this month. So anyway, the next book that I finished was The Glass Ocean by Beatriz Williams, Lauren Willig, and Karen White. And yes, I did have to read that because there are 3 authors and I can't remember all of their names just off the top of my memory. The Glass Ocean I thought was really cool. It is about the Lusitania, which set sail in 1915 to go to Ireland and ends up getting hit by a German U-boat, which helps propel America into World War I. So this is a real event that happened, but the characters that we read about are fictional. Each author wrote a different perspective, which I thought was really cool. And something that I was worried about when I saw that there were 3 perspectives, I tend to like one of them less. And for the most part, I liked all of them. So that was really nice too. But the different perspectives that we get Sarah, who is actually in modern times. She's in 2013, and she's investigating the Lusitania because she's a historian, and her great-grandfather was on the Lusitania and died when it sank, and she has some of his stuff, and she finds a note that says something about betrayal, and so she's investigating if there was a treasonous plot. And then the other 2 perspectives are with Caroline, who is a first-class passenger who only wants to save her marriage. That is the only thing she's focused on. But because her marriage is distant, she ends up leaning on her best friend, Robert. One guess how complicated that gets. And then the third perspective that we get is a second-class passenger. Her name is Tess, and she is a professional con artist with her sister, but she wants out. She doesn't want to do cons anymore, and so she's going to Ireland to make a new life, but she's doing one last job. And so it's really cool seeing how they all interact and how the story weaves together. I thought it was really, really good, and I honestly kind of wish there was a second book because it ended the way that I wanted it to, but I want to read more. I want to read what happens after the book ends between the people that I'm interested in. I don't want to give away spoilers. I gave it a 4.5. There's a lot of 4.5s in this, which is why I changed my rating system. The next book that I read was volume 1 and 2 of Check Please by Ngozi Ukazu. I don't have volume 2 because I read volume 1 in about an hour and a half and I gave it a 4.5. And because graphic novels are just really easy to read. And so I knew that there's volume 2. It's just a 2-volume series. And so I just went ahead and got volume 2 on Kindle, and I read that night as well. So I read both volumes in about 5 hours. Volume 2 actually was a 5-star. It was my first 5-star of the year because I felt like Volume 1, as much as I enjoyed it, I felt like the pacing was a little off. I felt like, because each volume has 2 years, and I just felt like Volume 1, like, rushed through the first 2 years, whereas Volume 2, I felt like it flowed a lot better. So, Check Please is about Eric Biddle. His nickname is Biddy. He is a ex-junior figure skating champion, and he also did club hockey, and so he gets into Samuel University and does college hockey there. And so it's all about his dynamics with the team and finding his place and building his YouTube channel and, you know, feeding everyone on the team with pies and baked goods because he loves baking, which is adorable. And he's also in love with his captain, which I can't blame him because Jack is a sweetie pie. Volume 1 is more about the team dynamics, and Volume 2 is about Eric and Jack's relationship, which, very cute. Highly recommend if you just want something, like, just cozy. The next book that I finished, I don't have a physical copy for, so, oh, there's Reese. There he is. Is he on the shelf? Okay, no, he's just sniffing books. That's fine. The next book that I finished, I don't have a physical copy for, so I'll put it somewhere. It's The Leather Couch by Stefani Goerlich. I have been reading this book since, like, June. And it's all about working with people who identify as kinky and the different aspects of that and things to take into consideration when working with them. I work in a lot of sex education, and so it's an important workbook for me to read. And it just, I've already said I don't like reading nonfiction, so if I can avoid it, I will. But having The Leather Couch on my TBR for February forced me to finish it, which was great, because I needed to. I thought it was really good. I thought it was well written. I thought it was nice having the different perspectives. She doesn't shy away from talking about, like, the different aspects that you have to take into consideration when working with kinky people, like how it is commonly pathologized when, like, it shouldn't be, and how to make the people that you're working with, make them feel comfortable enough sharing those aspects of their lives with you. So I thought it was really well done. I want to get the physical copy. I do have the physical copy of her second book, which I will be reading at some point. And it was a 4.5. Yeah, I think, quite honestly, I think all of my nonfiction for February is 4.5. So yeah, and then I picked up When the Angels Left the Old Country by Sacha Lamb. This book, I cannot stop thinking about it. I thought it was so wonderful. I gave it a 5-star. So, spoiler alert, only 2 5-stars in February. So, this and Check Please, which are very different books. So, When the Angels Left the Old Country is about an angel and a demon who study the Talmud together at this little shtetl in, I believe, Poland. And I believe it's set in the late 1930s. And they discover that one of the girls from their village who went to America has stopped writing to her father, and he's very concerned. And so the demon actually convinces the angel that it is their duty to go and rescue this girl, because clearly she's in trouble. And when I say demon, like, it's not like one of, like, it's not like a devil or anything like that. Like, Jewish demons are compared, I think it'd be a better comparison to say that they're like sprites, almost like fae. They're just, like, very mischievous. They're not so much with, like, the hellfire and damnation stuff. So the demon, his name is Little Ash. He is not the strongest demon. And he's with an angel who gets the name of Uriel. And it's mainly just about their friendship and the adventures that they go on together. So yeah, I thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it. And I highly recommend for, quite honestly, anyone. I'm already making the people in my Temple Book Club read it for April, so I'll be rereading it in April to write the book club questions, so I'm very excited. Alright, the next book that I got was Persuasion by Jane Austen. This is my second Austen. I read Pride and Prejudice in October, and I loved it. And this one, I liked. I liked it. I was a little disappointed just because I expected to love it as much as I loved Pride and Prejudice, and that was unfair of me. I did really enjoy it though. I just wish that we had gotten more of Anne's, the main character's perspectives and thoughts and stuff like that. It felt like, especially the first half of the novel, was focused on the people around Anne instead of actually her. Persuasion is about Anne Elliot, who is considered a spinster at the ripe old age of 27. Which, great. And she had previously been engaged to a Captain Wentworth, but due to the interference of her sucky-ass family and friends, she broke off the engagement even though she loves Captain Wentworth. I don't like her family. Don't. They're all stupid. And then Persuasion is just about Anne Elliot and Captain Wentworth being just conveniently in the same place at the same time many, many times. And, you know, falling back in love and getting together. So I thought it was really cute. I thought it was really interesting. And I did really enjoy it. I gave it 4 stars. And so I still love it. And plus, like, look at this cover. It's so pretty. Love this cover. This fulfilled my prompt of a classic with the best cover, unsurprisingly. And it's gilded. The next book, we're about, what, halfway, I think? The next book is The Love Study by Kris Ripper. I was really disappointed by this book. This fulfilled my prompt from my TBR game as a romance that is a 5-star prediction, and I gave it a 3. So yeah. Pretty much, I figured it out because at this point, I gave my thoughts in my vlog, I wrote a review for Instagram, I figured it out. I don't like the main character. He is, for the most part, fine, except at the resolution of the 3rd act conflict. He doesn't actually take responsibility for his actions. He just apology and love bombs until Sydney, the love interest, forgives him. And also Sydney is, Sydney is, in my opinion, a one-dimensional pseudo-therapist masquerading as a love interest. Like, they exist just to be perfect for Declan for what he needs, and also point out all the ways that he still needs to grow as a person. Which, like, it felt very preachy and not, like, love interest. So, that kind of sucked. Yeah, so the love study is about Declan, who left his last boyfriend at the altar, and he goes on Sydney's YouTube channel to do the love study where Sydney picks out dates for him, and then Declan comes back and reviews them pretty much to give advice to, like, the YouTube audience, which is an interesting premise. I just wish it had lasted longer. I was, quite honestly, like, it is a 3-star. I stand by that. It is fine, and for the most part, it is enjoyable. But the ending just ruined it for me, and I had such high hopes because it was personally recommended to me as well that I'm just, like, massively disappointed. So I may be being unfair, but that's just how I feel. The next book that I read is Hot Water by PG Wodehouse. I do a podcast with my dad where we analyze the works of PG Wodehouse, and this was the book that we were reading for the episode that we recorded. And I thought it was really fun. It is a 4.5. It's nice to know that, like, we had that one little tip and then we're back up. So it was a 4.5. It is about various characters. There are way too many. No, there are way too many to list, I will say that. Various characters trying to steal 2 things that are kept in the same place. And the wacky hijinks that they get up to. I thought it was really fun. It's really funny. At one point, a character is put out on a windowsill so he won't run away, which I thought was a hilarious mental image. I honestly just recommend it if you're just looking for, like, a fun time. And, like, I call them, like, adventure stories because I want to know, like, what happens. And so, like, they're really easy to read. I really like PG Wodehouse, and I'm really glad that I'm reading him finally. Definitely recommend. The Next book is From Dust to Flame by Rebecca Podos. This is a reread for me. I had selected it for my Temple book club that just met, and I needed to reread it to write book club questions. The first time I reviewed it, I believe it was a 4.5. I'm really glad I changed my rating. So, From Dust to Flame is about a girl named Hannah who on her 17th birthday wakes up with serpent eyes, and then the next day wakes up with like wolf canines, and then the next day wakes up with like weird ears or something. Oh, horns, I think. I don't know. Every day she wakes up with a new attribute that is very animalistic, and she doesn't know why. And her mom says that she's going to fix it and then leaves, presumably to fix it, but she's gone for like 6 weeks. And at that point, Hannah and her brother Gabe take matters into their own hand and investigate their mom's history and how that relates to what's happening to Hannah. I think it was really cool. It dealt a lot with like Jewish mysticism and what it feels like to be disconnected from your heritage. So I thought it was really good both times that I've read it. Everyone who read it for the book club really enjoyed it, even though they made comments. They're like, I don't really read YA anymore, which like, that's fine, but I'm glad they still enjoyed it. I want to end on a good note, so I'm going to go ahead and do this one. The Complete Kama Sutra by Danielle, I believe is how you pronounce it. I hated this book. I hated it. I gave it a 2-star. I thought that it was such a slog. It was so misleading, and maybe it's on me for not looking into what the Kama Sutra actually was. I expected it to be way sexier. It was not. There were 3 chapters about like actual sex, and everything else was just gross. That's it. I don't recommend that book at all. I'm sorry. I do have another version of the Kama Sutra, which is like the bedside companion, that I will probably read at some point in the future just to see how it's different. I'm assuming I'm gonna like it more just based off of the title. The last book that I read was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This was also 5-star. I'm wrong. I have 3 5-stars in February. My bad. I read this in, no lie, like 6 hours. I stayed up till 1 in the morning finishing it. I thought it was incredible. I loved it. Was it realistic? Not particularly, but I liked the idealized version of America way more. I thought it was adorable. So this is about Alex, who is the son of the President of the United States, who is the first president who is a woman. And he originally hates Prince Henry, who is the second son of the UK monarchy. And he's just fooling himself. He actually loves Henry, and Henry loves him back, and it's adorable, and I recommend everyone read it. So those are my 13 books. I'm going to wrap this up because the camera's literally about to die. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!